Whether we are there or not, ITSP Magazine still gets the best stories. Plenty of conferences and events spark our curiosity and allow us to start conversations with some of the world's brightest minds. In person or virtually, Sean Martin and Marco Ciappelli go on location and sit down with them at the intersection of technology, cybersecurity, and society. Together, we discover what the synergy of these three elements means for the future of humanity.
Here we are, we're ready for another 7 minutes on ITSP Magazine. I'm thrilled to have Snehal Antani with me. How are you, Snehal?
Good, thanks for the time.
Appreciate you joining and excited to hear this story about Horizon3.ai. Maybe let's kick it off with a brief overview of what you and your team are doing.
Sure, so when I was a CIO, I had no idea I was secure until the bad guys showed up. So are we fixing the right vulnerabilities, logging the right data in Splunk? Does my team know how to respond to a breach? And the answer is, I don't know. I have to wait for a bad guy, or I've got to hire a consultant to show up once a year to test my environment. And what I wanted to do was continuously verify my security posture by hacking myself as often as I possibly could. So our t-shirts say, go hack yourself. And what we enable is continuous penetration testing.
Okay. What are some of the types of things you're testing against?
What's interesting is, if you break pen testing up into two categories, you have application pen testing, which I believe is a uniquely human problem to solve, because finding logic flaws in custom code is a uniquely human kind of gift. Whereas infrastructure pen testing is uniquely solved by algorithms, and that's where we focus. So infrastructure pen testing at scale, which is everything below that custom code layer. So as I see kind of the future of pen testing, I see humans becoming scalpels focused on the app layer and algorithms executing at scale in this really interesting human-machine teaming type workflow.
Interesting. You've been very busy innovating and creating and delivering. What are some of the new things you've launched?
Yeah, so a key part of just building a highly valuable large-scale company is you start with one use case with a well-defined pain, and then you evolve to a multi-product platform. So we're kind of in that journey as a company. So pen testing, autonomous pen testing, was our first use case. And now we moved into the adjacency. So right now, imagine as a burglar, or as we're breaking into your house, we install Ring cameras along the way. So if a real bad guy shows up, you're gonna get some sort of alert. Well, the analogy applies to pen testing. So we just launched a product called Node Zero Tripwires. So while running a pen test, we'll automatically deploy honey tokens in hosts that we've compromised, file shares we gained access to, building this early warning network based on pen test results. And the whole product strategy and company strategy is, think of pen testing or pen test results as a map and compass that helps you decide how to improve your defenses.
So I love this idea, actually. It's really cool. Let's leave some tokens there to see if somebody else might, again, find their way to through the same path. And I guess it doesn't have to be the same path as long as they end up at the same destination or same point on the network,
yep,
right?
That's exactly right, because within an enterprise, not all servers or file shares are equal. Some are far more important than others. Some are far more susceptible than others. And so a pen test is the most effective way to figure out what is of value to the attacker, what are critical waypoints that the attacker is going to eventually get to en route to a compromise. And the pen test results help you identify those waypoints, those critical pieces of componentry. And if you deploy honey tokens within those environments, you have a very high signal, very low noise early warning network you're able to create.
So those tokens are?
So they're fake AWS credentials, okay, fake Azure credentials, fake sensitive command tokens, okay, as the start. They're things that a normal user would have no business or interest in using or touching, but an attacker is going to find it, and they're going to get excited by it, and they're going to try to use it, and then set off a bunch of alerts. Okay. The other interesting thing for Horizon 3 is, we're not a pen testing company. We're a data company. Pen testing is just a sensor. So every time we run a pen test, we're getting a ton of telemetry on every host, port, service, credential, so on and so forth. And that telemetry allows us to improve our algorithms, but more interesting, that telemetry allows us to understand your security posture over time. Right. So we're able to actually help you articulate how secure you are and how that posture has changed over time, because we have the source of truth versus like an arbitrary spreadsheet that you fill out in other GRC type solutions. Well, similarly now with Node Zero Tripwires, we immediately, when we turned it on, have the largest early warning network in the industry. because all of my customers by default get a bunch of these tokens for free.
Right.
They can always buy more, but I suddenly have this massive early warning network of honey tokens precisely deployed in critical spots across my entire install base. And that becomes another source of data I'm able to integrate in to understand your posture.
Do you capture the path? Because a lot of times it's not just that it's triggered, but it's how they got there, right?
Yeah, so in our case, the path is a little bit different. So when we run an autonomous pen test, we're actually going to show you, like, from this initial host that was compromised, what was the attack path that led to domain admin or sensitive data exposure. And we'll show you that we gained access to a JMX server, got code execution, dropped a rat, pivoted over to another machine, did something else, and so on. Well, if we deployed a rat, then we likely also deployed a node zero tripwire on that same box. So that's how we'll show you the attack path on how we did it. Now, on the flip side, if an attacker triggers one of those node zero tripwires, we can do the inverse lookup, which is, hey, this node zero tripwire is on a host, and that host enabled us in previous pen test results to do these 15 different attacks from that location. So it's almost like, from this spot, here are the 15 or 10 or 3 likely things they're going to go do next, because that's what the node zero pen test did previously.
Yep, I love it. I love it. What's some of the outcomes? What are your customers telling you they're able to do now?
So there's a couple of them, and I'll give you an example of a CISO of a large chip manufacturing company. So we're really good at rapid response. So think of a celebrity CVE in the news from CISA or whatever else. Well, we quickly reverse engineer it, weaponize it, add it to the product. And then we'll proactively notify you that we're quite confident you have this F5 KEV on these hosts based on previous pen test results. And that's a situation where time is the enemy. So the CISO was telling me the story of how we proactively notified him. He was susceptible to a Palo KEV. He immediately ran a test to verify he was exploitable, found a bunch of occurrences, fixed them, reran the test, and then showed the before and after screenshots to the board and to the CEO, and the whole process took less than 2 hours. And the board and the CEO of that manufacturer was like, holy crap, in less than 2 hours, you tested the entire environment at scale for a devastating problem, fixed it, proved it was fixed, and then the guy got a promotion.
Nice one. So work with Snehal on the Horizon3.ai team and get yourself a promotion.
Yeah, that's exactly. And go home early.
Go home early. Well, that's fantastic. And that is 7 minutes here on ITSP Magazine. Snehal, thank you.
Awesome, thank you.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Sean and Marco's on-location event coverage conversations. Please take a moment to give the show a good rating and leave a comment. Remember to share this podcast with your friends, family, and colleagues. Come back for more conversations and follow Sean Martin and Marco Ciappelli as they continue their journey toward redefining cybersecurity and society.